If you've used the internet a lot, you're probably quite familiar with TED. Not Ted Danson, but TED Talks, the popular speaking series that seems to go viral every third weekend. But where did TED Talks come from, and what's happened since? Here's the untold truth of TED Talks. We'll get this out of the way right now. TED Talks was created by an extraordinary man named Richard Saul Wurman. Fast Company once compared Wurman to the most interesting man in the world from those Dos Equis commercials, and it's a fair match.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Now in his 80s, Wurman has mapped out the ancient ruins of Guatemala, published 90 books, and won a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Smithsonian.
I am very disciplined, and I don't want anything to interfere with the discipline of trying to make something clear.
Back in 1984, Wurman really had his finger on the pulse of changing cultural trends. He accurately predicted that science and popular media were catching up to each other fast, and he joined forces with Harry Marks, a CGI pioneer hailed as the godfather of broadcast design, according to LinkedIn. Together, they decided to make a new type of conference for a new era. As he told the Smithsonian,
What can I create that isn't boring? Because I'm bored out of my head when I go to conferences.
Incidentally, TED stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. So, now you know. The first TED in 1984 was a lot more DIY than the glamorous showpieces you know today, but plenty of big names took part. For example, the Sony Corporation gave a big TED Talk showing off a funky new circular device called a compact disc digital audio, otherwise known as a CD-ROM.
The signal-to-noise ratio approaches 96 dB.
MIT Media Lab founder Nicholas Negroponte gave a speech predicting future technologies like ebooks, voice recognition software, and touchscreens.
That we will be using the TV screens or their equivalents for electronic books of the future.
Another attendee was a young entrepreneur named Steve Jobs. Though he didn't go on stage, he did bring along 3 brand new Macintosh computers and let people play around with them.
I don't want people to feel bad for me. I don't think about these obstacles all the time.
As you can tell from this lecture by Sam Burns, a man who suffers from a rare disease that rapidly ages you, the TED of today has seriously broadened its scope since the early days. Even though Richard Wurman is larger than life, his conferences basically remained hidden from the general public. In 2001, Wurman sold TED to a British publisher and philosophy major named Chris Anderson. The sale was controversial and led to a drop in ticket sales.
Now, different people's worldviews can be dramatically different.
To turn the ship around, Chris Anderson went on stage himself, pulled up a chair, and opened up about his life prior to getting involved with TED Talks.
I was going around with this big sign on my forehead, loser.
In that speech, he dove into his history as an entrepreneur and the many businesses he'd watched implode during the dot-com bust of 2000. He was honest about his failures and opened up about the fact that TED Talks was the inspiration that kept him going. An hour later, 200 people registered for the next TED. In its current incarnation, TED is supposed to be all about the free circulation of ideas in order to spark new conversations and new solutions. In today's harsh world, how is such a utopian idea funded? TED is owned by the Sapling Foundation, a non-profit foundation. All the money they make through their expensive tickets, conference fees, sponsorships, licensing, and so on is funneled right back into the organization to fund stuff like video editing, marketing, and free TED fellowships. Basically, TED charges money to keep TED afloat, and they continue offering their videos for free. That means the speakers aren't paid. However, lodging and transportation are accommodated for, and you get a huge platform to share your ideas.
There are absolutely no effects on this microphone whatsoever.
TED Talks aren't reserved for names like Bill Clinton, director Taika Waititi, and J.J. Abrams. The platform is open for anyone to apply, whether you're professional rock climber Alex Hornold or Neon Indians Alan Palomo.
Nothing is original. Everything comes from something. And to me, creativity is either conscious or unconscious collaboration.
TED is always searching for great speakers, whether you've put together some crazy cool creative tech startup or discovered an awesome new solution for an age-old issue. All you have to do is contact TED through their website and see if they're interested. On the other hand, there are likely thousands of people competing to give TED Talks, so you'll be up against some pretty strict guidelines. TED evaluates whether someone's speech is a good fit for them with 3 basic questions. Does it give viewers a fresh perspective on the world, challenging their prior assumptions? Does the speech offer a unique solution for a problem or hope of improvement? Does it end on an inspiring note, compelling people to take action and improve the world? TED Talks are about optimism, hope, and change-making. They're never dreary.
The distortion is less than 0.005%, and not just at one frequency, but across the entire audible range.
Well, they're not dreary anymore.